Hi guys, welcome to Simply Scuba. So 2019, we're going to be looking at some of our favorite fins. So fins come, as you can see, in lots of different shapes, sizes, and of course colors. But in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 5 of our favorite fins in no particular order for 2019. So let's go take a look, see what different features they have, and see why we like them here at Simply Scuba. Okay, so first up, we're looking at the budget range of fins. So this is the Oceanic Viper. So these are a very underestimated pair of fins. They're very cheap, but they definitely do the job. They've got kind of everything that you need. They've got the dual material blade, so we've got the harder material and then the softer material. So that changes the shape of the blade, makes it into more of a scoop, and traps that water and then really channels it down towards the tip of the fin so you move through. So they've got that little bit of a hinge. If I just talk about the basic features of fins that you really need to look for, is that kind of angle downwards, so you've got a more effective angle of attack. The main reason why they're a little bit cheaper is because you have a more traditional standard ratchet style strap on the back. It's fine, it does the job, but it does mean that you do have to kind of reach down and adjust it every time. You do have to unclip it and then lengthen it off, and so every time you have to sort of go scuba diving, you have to do something with the fin strap. It's perfectly fine, it does the job, but a lot of people end up upgrading to a sort of a bungee or a spring heel strap. So the blade itself is fairly flexible. So these, I'd call them a soft blade fin. So they'll get you through the water, but they're not quite as effective as some of the stiffer blades or the medium blades. They're pretty tough as well. I've seen people use these in the UK. They do come in this kind of bright yellow color, so you can see it really easily, even in sort of murky waters. They're a nice standard budget pair of fins. They'll keep up with you. They're pretty light as well, so you can travel with them. They're that good sort of all-rounder starter fin. If you're looking for a fin as your sort of first, then yeah, this is a very good place to be starting. Next, we're moving on to Apex RK3. So these are the fins that I actually use. This one isn't my fin, but this is the style of fin that I use. It's a vented fin, which basically means it's got these vents down in front of the foot pocket. They're a lot shorter. So when you're diving in confined spaces like wrecks or in caves, they're less likely to sort of make contact with anything, but they are just as effective at moving you through the water as any other fin. So they come in 2 different stiffnesses. You get the standard version and then you get the HD version, which is a little bit stiffer, a bit more effective at sort of moving through the water, but you do need sort of slightly stronger legs. Personal preference, it depends whether you really want to fight that current or you just want a bit more of a sort of chilled out dive. I like them because they're double tough, they're really super strong, single piece of material, so there are no sort of hinges or anything that can sort of bend or break. Very, very tough. They come as standard with a spring heel strap, so very easy to get in and out of it one-handed, especially if you're wearing sort of twin cylinders in a dry suit. You've got to bend down and put your fins on. Very easy to get them on and off. They've got a couple other things. First one is these little sort of attachment loops, so you can sort of get a carabiner and kind of clip them together and clip them onto things. It's very easy to store these fins as opposed to just kind of laying them up. But a lot of times if you sort of lean your fins against a wall, eventually over time they'll tend to sort of bend. This is the HD version, so it's a little bit stiffer, but softer blade fins can sort of bend, and then over time you need to sort of bend them back. But these you can just hang up and they sort of stay as they're meant to. So nice and effective. They're not too cumbersome. I move through the water very, very easily wearing mine, and of course a few different sizes. So you can wear them with dry suits or with a sort of neoprene wetsuit boot. Then we're moving on to a very different type of fin. So this is the Scuba Pro Nova. This is in its like 4th generation by now. This is a hinged fin. This has won plenty of design awards. I've used it in the water, very effective. Feels a little bit different than a traditional sort of channel fin. It feels a little bit floppy, but very, very effective at moving you through the water. So the way it works is that when it's in its kind of standard form, as it were, it's very flat, so very easy to pack, so you can travel with it. Pretty light, not the heaviest fin, but not the lightest fin neither. But then during each part of the fin kick, it actually changes the angle of attack so that it's much more effective. So it feels kind of floppy, but you're shifting through the water very, very quickly. So, so very effective means that you don't use quite as much energy from your legs. You're kind of storing that elastic energy in these hinges. The first generation did have issues with this splitting, but as I said, this is in the 4th generation, so they've made lots of improvements, and they are very, very tough and reliable nowadays. Plenty of colors as well. We can see in the purple, they've got blues and pinks and all sorts of different colors. The kind of wave scoop design on this side is a kind of a channeled paddle fin. So we've got scoops and all these kind of rails and ribs and channels that really scoop that energy and or the water, sorry, and then transfer that through so you're shifting through the water. Single piece of monoprene. So monoprene is a very tough material, which is this kind of rubbery material that they've made out of. This is Scuba Pro's own, so it's kind of made in South Africa. It's a very effective material. It also is hydrophobic, so they dry very quickly, which is also quite handy. Comes as standard with a bungee heel strap. So instead of a spring, this is a bungee, a really big sort of thumb loop to grab hold of that. And that just wraps around the back of your heel and keeps your foot in position. Nice long tab on the sort of underside. So this means that it's not kind of hinging halfway up your foot. It really covers up most of your foot. So you get a real good sort of grounding to that, and you're less likely to get cramp. Big detailing on the underside gives you a little bit of grip, so when you're first putting them on and you're kind of moving over to the back of the boat to jump in, it gives you that little bit of extra grip, so you're less likely to slip if the boat sort of shifts around. Nice pair of fins. I really like them. Because they pack flat, they're pretty light, but they're very effective in the water. Yeah, they're a very smart pair of fins. Then we move on to one of the newest fins on the market. This is the Hyflex switch fins. So these have lots of little details and improvements all over them that just improve the performance and how they work for modern divers. So it's also going to be available in a professional version, which has a slightly stiffer blade later on in the year. They're coming soon. But the main kind of party trick for the Hyflex switch is that you can separate the foot pocket from the blade. So most divers, we travel, so we're flying abroad, and trying to pack your fins can be quite tricky because they're a long, flat, thick item, so they tend to, you need a bag big enough to put them in. But if you're just going on a quick little trip, then you don't want to carry a bag that is that big. You just kind of want to put them in your backpack and off you go. These ones, you have two little sort of screws in here, 2 bolts. You can unscrew those, and then the whole blade section disconnects from the foot pocket, and then they become much, much shorter. So you can pack them very easily. Another thing that they have is their universal fin strap. So this is a bungee heel strap that you can adjust the length of it on the inside. So all you need is just a coin just to open that up. You can adjust the length of that bungee strap, so you can make it a little bit tighter or a little bit looser depending on your foot or your boot size. The actual heel section actually wraps around your heel, so that kind of grips onto it a little bit. So that's a little bit nicer. You've got a big old loop as well, so very easy to get it on and off. But then we're getting onto the blade section. So the blade has this new material, which is dual blade material. So we've got the harder section, which is red in this bit. You've got the big chunky rails, which is transferring the energy down. But then this material is a very special, it's not just a monoprene or a sort of plastic. It's a very clever polymer that's, when you're in the water, the best way to kind of describe it is more of a snap. It's more reactive to the way you move. So small little sort of corrections with your foot are very, very effective. So you'll feel much more sort of sharper when you're moving around in the water, making fine tuning. So especially for photographers, you want to get in the correct position, and then you just want to adjust yourself a little bit, as opposed to lots of little sort of fin kicks. You just make sort of one kind of movement and it kind of moves your body. It's weird to describe, but when you try them out in the water for the first time, you do feel it. It's unusual, but it's a nicer way of diving. So a very nice pair of fins, and yeah, because it's that kind of flat profile, easy to walk around in, but you're less likely to damage that that kind of bridge section. They're a very effective pair of fins and pretty light as well. So finally, we're going to move on to the Crest Thor fins. So these are very similar in design to the first one I looked at, the Oceanic Viper. So these are a channel fin, big paddle, nice and light, but you've got a few little upgrades on it. So the first one is in your bungee heel strap. So bungees, one, I've said it's much easier to get in and out of, but two, the extra benefit that most people don't really notice is when you're going down, your neoprene wetsuit boot and your dry suit boot is naturally going to compress at depth. So that means that your boot is that little bit smaller. With a ratchet style strap, that just means that the deeper down you go, the looser that strap becomes, so you have to readjust it in the water in case it kind of loosens and comes off. With a bungee heel strap, it's always applying a little bit of tension onto your boot, so even if it does compress, it's still kind of holding on, so you don't have to adjust your fins in the water. So again, it still has that two blade material, so it's creating that scoop. You've got that kind of angle of attack as it angles downwards, but you've also got these little holes through just in front of the foot pocket. And this comes from the vented fins like the RK3. Right in front of the foot pocket is a bit of a dead zone, so it creates a lot of drag and reduces the efficiency of fins. So you'll see a lot with holes just in front of the foot pocket. That eliminates that drag, reduces it, and makes them more effective. You'll also see that the blade itself is attached right up to the top edge of the foot pocket. So that creates a nice smooth transition, but it also means that you get a better angle of attack without creating more kind of hinge down there. So when you're walking around, it's not going to bend sort of awkwardly and damage the foot pocket or the blade. So all in all, a nice pair of fins. The Thor name suggests they're pretty tough, and they are pretty tough, but they're also light as well, so you can still travel with them. They do pack fairly flat. You've got a little bit of an angle, but while they're in a suitcase, they can bend just a little bit. A few different colors, and that is a very smart fin. I do like the Crest Thor. So all of these fins and plenty others are available at our website, simplyscuba.com. But in the comments below, let us know what favorite fins you wear and why, so that other people can make a more informed decision. Thanks for watching, and safe diving.
We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.